History is made as Sri Lanka's parliament elects its 8th executive president. Good evening and welcome. This is Primetime News on TV1. Today is the 20th of July 2022. Certainly an interesting day for all of Sri Lanka. However, let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight. President-elect Ranil Wickremesinghe to take oaths tomorrow morning. Who will be the next Prime Minister? People's mandate not represented in Parliament, says presidential candidates.
මන්ත්‍රීවරු විකිනෙනවා හරියට ගම්වල තේක ගහට වටා අඩි ගාන කියනවා වගේ ඇඟානුව විකිනෙනවා දුක් විඳින තරුණයන්ගේ ඒ හඬට දැන්වත් එහුම්කම් දෙන්න පුළුවන් මනසක් නිර්මාණය වේවා.
Ranil must resign. The Aragalaya continues.
ශ්‍රී ලංකාවට අවශ්‍යයි දූෂිත නොවන පාලකයෙක්.
අරගලකරුවෝ විදිහටත් රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ කියන පුද්ගලයාව අපි පිළිගන්න සූදානම් නැහැ.
රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ වගේ තක්කඩි මිනිස්සෙක්ව කිසිදු ජනමතයක් නැති මිනිස්සෙක්ව ජනාධිපති පුටුවේ ඉඳීම ගැන අපි කියනවා අපි පුදුමයට පත්වන්නේ නැහැ.
Bandaranayake statue a no-go zone. Sri Lankan political leaders were not influenced. India reiterates. IMF says it hopes to complete rescue talks with Sri Lanka as quickly as possible. Pakistan beat Sri Lanka to take a 1-0 lead in Test series.
Main sponsor.
Earn a highest interest rate of 21% for 4 months fixed deposits. LB Yasaisuru.
In tonight's top story, Ranil Wickremesinghe was elected as the 8th executive president of Sri Lanka during a vote in Parliament today, which was a first in Sri Lankan political history. The new president will be sworn in at 10 a.m. tomorrow at the Parliament complex.
The Sri Lankan Parliament convened in full force today to elect the succeeding executive president. MPs exercised their franchise in Parliament starting at 10 a.m. in the midst of heavy security in and around the Parliament. The Speaker was also permitted to vote, and it was the Secretary General of Parliament, Dhammika Dasanayake, who acted as the returning officer of the secret ballot. The names of Ranil Wickremesinghe, parliamentarians Dala Salahapperuma and Andrukumara Disanayake were proposed for the position of president.
Honorable Mahinda Yapa Bevadana, Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe, Honorable Anura Disanayake, Honorable Dala Salahapperuma, Honorable Sajith Premadasa, Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksha,
Gajendra Kumar Ponnambalam and Selvaraja Kajendran from the Tamil National People's Front abstained from voting. Parliamentarians Samanpriya Herath and D. Veerasinghe arrived from hospital to cast their vote. The votes were counted in the presence of representatives nominated by the three candidates. Of the 223 votes that were cast, only 219 were ruled as valid and 4 votes were considered invalid.
ගරු පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රී ඩලස් අලහපෙරුම මැතිතුමා ලැබී ඇති ඡන්ද සංඛ්‍යාව 82යි. පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රී රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමා ලැබී ඇති ඡන්ද සංඛ්‍යාව 134යි. ගරු පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රී අනුර දිසානායක මැතිතුමා ලැබී ඇති ඡන්ද සංඛ්‍යාව 3යි.
I wish to announce that as per the Presidential Elections Act number 2 of 1981, Ranil Wickremesinghe was elected as the 8th Executive President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka by a majority vote.
ජනාධිපතිවරයා වශයෙන් යථා පරිදි තෝරාපත් කර ගන්නා ලද බව 1981 අංක 2 දරන ජනාධිපතිවරයා තෝරාපත් කර ගැනීමේ විශේෂ විධිවිධාන පනතේ විධිවිධාන ප්‍රකාරව ප්‍රකාශ කොට සිටිමි.
President-elect Ranil Wickremesinghe extended an open invitation in his address to the House.
My life was spent in Parliament. I am honored that this very parliament has bestowed this honor upon me. The people do not expect the old form of politics. The parliament must work together. I call on Dallas Alaha Peruma to work together following a new system. Anukumar Disanayaka understands the situation and I make the same request from him. I also extend this invitation to opposition leader Sajid Premadasa and everyone else. Let's all work together and build a new method. And I also extend the same to former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and his party, former President Maithripala Sirisena and others as well. I hope to engage with you all from tomorrow.
A healed country can rise again, but an ill country cannot. Therefore, we need the support of all. What we attempted was to replace the elitist political culture. It is true that it failed in the past, but I have no personal issue. During my 29-year political career, I have never betrayed my camp. Therefore, I wish to thank everyone who voted for me and who did not vote for me. I wish the best for the government and I wish a year would be given to the crisis of the people.
This was not an unexpected result. However, I believe that the numbers we witnessed today in Parliament do not reflect the real numbers. It did not reflect the people's mandate. The House and the people are on a collision course. Imagine the honour and respect that would have been bestowed on this House if the posts of President and Prime Minister were given to the ones with no political aim, and if one of those positions was given to a Tamil parliamentarian hailing from the north. At the same time, parliamentarian Rauf Hakim proposed for women to be appointed to both these positions. Imagine the positive message we will be sending. We saw the Tamil National Alliance, independent groups, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and the Samagi Janabalawegaya pledging support to Dallas Alaha Peruma. I assume the numbers would be over 113. However, did those members stand by what was announced? Was it based on policy decisions? I do not believe so. This parliament has a history of buying MPs.
ඉතිහාසයක් මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ තිබෙනවා. මන්ත්‍රීවරු විකිනෙනවා හරියට ගම්වල තේක ගහට වට අඩි ගාන කියනවා වගේ. ඇඟානුව විකිනෙනවා. මම හිතනවා මේකත් එහෙමයි. මේක මගේ අදහස. මේක මගේ අදහස. හරි හරි.
කරුණාකර නිස්සද්ද වෙන්න.
ගරු කතානායකතුමනි.
කරුණාකර නිස්සද්ද වෙන්න මන්තුමාලා.
මා දන්නවා මෙහෙම කලබල වෙන බවක් දන්නවා.
That is my view. I was aware they would do this. There is no point in telling these to the villagers, as these matters need to be said to them directly. I do not think that any government formed in such a manner would function for long.
කවර වර්ගයේ හෝ ආණ්ඩුවකට සුජාතභාවයක් තියෙවි කියලා දීර්ඝ කාලයක් මෙරට පාලනය කරන්න. ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂය හැටියට ඊටාම
We are happy as the ruling faction. It was clear that those in the opposition also voted for our candidate. That is the truth, and it cannot be concealed.
සැබෑ සටහනයි. ඒ සැබෑ සටහනයි. හංගන්න දෙයක් නෑ. මම ඒවා වැඩි විස්තර කරන්න ඕනේ නෑ. මේ රටේ අනිත්‍ය පිළිබඳ විශ්වාසයක් අපිට තිබෙනවා. සදාකාලික එකම දේ එකාකාරව පවතින්නේ නැති බව ලෝකේ ඔප්පු වෙලා තියෙනවා. අපි මේ අභියෝගය ජයගත යුතුමයි.
දැන් ගරු කතානායකතුමනි අද අපේ රටේ negative growth ඍණ ආර්ථික
This country is experiencing negative growth and inflation is rising.
ගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමාම දන්නවා අතිගරු කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද ඔබතුමා ඒක අයින් කරපු නිසා. Triple deficits, budget, balance of trade, balance of payments ඔක්කොම රතු කට්ටේ තියෙන. මම කියන්න කැමති
Everything else is in the danger zone. We must prepare a national plan to build this country. The ground situation is saddening. As an opposition, we will extend our support to ensure the people can survive.
අපිට දෙන්න පුළුවන් උපරිම සහයෝගය මේ රටේ ජනතාව ජීවත් කරවීම උදෙසා අපේ උපරිම සහයෝගය ලබා දෙනවා. අපරට උග්‍ර ආර්ථික අර්බුදයකට මුහුණ
At a time when the country is facing a serious crisis, I request the President, the government and everyone else to work together to face the challenges in the future.
තුමාටත් ඔබ සියලු දෙනාගේම අජයටත් සියලු සහයෝගය ලබා දෙන ලෙස මම ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
Newly elected President Ranil Wickremesinghe met police officers on duty when he was leaving the parliamentary premises today.
Having secured
ඔබ තාමත් ජනාධිපති වීමේ සිහිනය දකින්නවද කියලා ඇහුවම. ඒක සිහිනයක්ද?
Those were views expressed by Ranil Wickremesinghe participating in Newsfirst's 10 Questions program on the 12th of January. Today, he became the 8th executive president of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. Born on the 24th of March 1949 as the second son of Esmond Wickremesinghe and Nalini Wickremesinghe, Ranil Wickremesinghe is a law graduate from the University of Colombo and a past pupil of Royal College, Colombo. Ranil Wickremesinghe entered parliament for the first time at the 1977 election from the Biyagama seat, an election which was the grounding for many political and social changes in Sri Lanka. Ranil Wickremesinghe, who was 27 years at the time, was the youngest minister in J.R. Jayawardena's cabinet. Wickremesinghe, who held the portfolio of education, youth affairs, employment and industries, was a pioneer in forming the National Youth Council and establishing free trade zones. Ranil Wickremesinghe was a pioneer in establishing education faculties during his time as the Minister of Education in the country. Wickremesinghe was well received by the general public of the country for his vast experience in the political landscape and was appointed the leader of the United National Party in 1994. Wickremesinghe was appointed Prime Minister of the country 6 times and operated in the capacity of opposition leader within a period of 17 years. He served as the leader of the House in the Sri Lankan Parliament as well.
President-elect Ranil Wickremesinghe visited the Hunupitiya Gangaramaya temple this evening to obtain blessings.
Celebrations are held across many areas in the country to celebrate the election of Ranil Wickremesinghe, the 8th executive president of Sri Lanka. These were the celebrations held in Gampola today. A number of celebrations were held in Akurassa by UNP supporters in the area. Residents in Vaunia and Puttalam celebrated Ranil Wickremesinghe's election as well.
Following the appointment of the new president earlier today, many factions have begun to question as to who will be selected as the new prime minister. Leaving the parliamentary premises, MPs Harin Fernando and Manusha Naikara expressed the following views.
සාකච්ඡා කරයි විපක්ෂ කණ්ඩායම් සාකච්ඡා කරයි හරිද සිදුවේ අගමැති ධූරය දෙන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ කාටද ජනාධිපතිවරයා අගමැතිවරයාව නම් කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ තනි කැමැත්තට සියලු දෙනාගේ එකඟතාවයෙන් තමයි අගමැතිවරයා නම් කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු.
The following views were expressed by the leader of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, former President Mahinda Rajapaksha.
ඡන්ද වැඩි හම්බුණා ඔබතුමාගේ සදාකාලික ප්‍රතිවාදියා වුණේ එතුමා. ඒ අවසානයේ එතුමාත් මම හිතන්නේ බොහෝ දුරට ඡන්ද ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න එතුමා. නෑ එහෙම නෑ. ඉදිරියේදී කොයි වගේ වෙයිද ආණ්ඩුව පිහිටුවීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඔබතුමාලා අපි බලාගෙන ඉන්නකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ කියලා. කොයි ආණ්ඩුව උනත් මේ රටේ ජනතාවලි වැඩ කරන්න. ඔබතුමාලගේ වැදගත්වීමක් වෙනවද ඉදිරියේදී ආණ්ඩුව පිහිටුවීම සම්බන්ධයෙන්? නෑ අපේ එහෙම තාම තීන්දුවක් කරන්නේ නැහැ. පක්ෂ ගන්න තීන්දුවකට මම එකගයි ඕන අපේ පක්ෂ ගන්න තීන්දුවක් තමයි මම කරන්නේ.
Dallas Salahaturu Mahato Bay Pakshe, Mantrivare, Osa GL Piris Mahata, Vedat Mata, Yochane Kali, May someone in Udumaka, Navy.
Dallas Mafia, Divatkara Dallas. අපි ඡන්දෙ දුන්නා. පැනදුනා. දිනුන කරවලි දිනන්න එපා. දින නැහැ දිනන්න පාට දුන්නා.
ජනාධිපතිතුමනි රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහතාට විශාල විරෝධයක් එල්ලමින් පවතිනවා. එතකොට අද පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේදී සඳහන් වුණා මේ නියෝජන ජනමතය නෙමෙයි මේ නියෝජනය වෙන ක්ලේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඔබතුමාට මොකක්ද කියන්නේ?
ඒකේ මත තියෙනවනේ. එයාලා කියන්නේ ඒක තමයි ජනමතය. අපි කියන්නේ ඒක නෙවෙයි. මේගොල්ලොත් ඉන්නවා. මේ පොල් දෙකම තියෙනවා.
පෝල් ෆේස් අරගලේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඔබතුමාගේ අදහස මොකක්ද?
දැන් ඉතින් ඒක නෑ.
Still in related news, was the decision taken by the Sri Lanka Freedom Party to support Dallas Alahaperuma honoured by all members of its parliamentary group?
දැන් මේ තීරණයේදී ඔබතුමාගේ පක්ෂය එක තැනක තියාගන්න බැරි වුණේ.
ඒ පක්ෂයේ විතරක් නෙවෙයිනේ දැන් මෙතන බලය ගත්තාම සෑම දේශපාලන පක්ෂයකම පක්ෂගත තීන්දුව වලටම ඒ පක්ෂයේ මන්ත්‍රීවරු කටයුතු කරපු බවක් තියෙන්නේ නැහැ.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ 14 දෙනාම එකට ඉල්ලුම නැති එකේ ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි මේ යම් පිරිසක් ගිහිල්ලා වෙනම ඡන්දෙ දීලා තියෙනවා කියන එක තමයි තේරෙන්නේ.
ඔවුන් සම්බන්ධයෙන් මේ ක්‍රියාමාර්ගයක් ගන්නවද?
ඔය ඒක ගැන කතා කරන්න ඕනේ මන්ත්‍රීකාරය සභාවේ සාකච්ඡා කරලා තමයි තීන්දුව ගන්න වෙන්නේ.
අලුත් ආණ්ඩුවට ඔබතුමාලා සහාය දෙනවද? ඇමතිකම් ගන්නවද?
නෑ අපි අමාත්‍යවරු ගන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ.
කාටවත් කියන්න බෑ.
No one can question MPs on if they voted according to the decision of the party or if they voted according to their own conscience. A parliamentarian has a constitutional right to vote according to his conscience. An MP voting according to his conscience at a vote at an election such as this in parliament is not a violation of the discipline of the party.
පක්ෂ විනය කඩකිරීමක් නෙවෙයි.
මේක බිමේ මතේ නොවෙන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි දැන් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව තුල ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදීව මේ තීන්දුව අරන් තියෙනවා. ඒක බිම පිළිගත්තත් නැති වුණා.
Let's now take a look at the response of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya in light of the election result.
අපි මේ රට මේ තියෙන අගාධයෙන් උඩ ගන්න සමගි ජන බලවේගයේ විදිහට දෙන්න පුළුවන් සියලු සහයෝගය අපි ලබා දෙනවා.
ඒකදී සර්වපක්ෂ කාණ්ඩයේ මකින් කොටස බාර ගන්න පුළුවන් සූදානම්ද?
අපි සර්වපක්ෂ
We held discussions regarding an all-party government during the past few days and we drafted a plan. We can look into how we will work in the future.
කරන්න පුළුවන් කොහොමද කටයුතු කරන්නේ?
දැන් අපිට Dallas
We have a large group including Dallas Alahaperuma. We will include this group in the opposition as well and work towards alleviating the suffering of the people.
We will accept his invitation for a national program and work with him from where we are because we need to fix this country. If he extended the invitation, let's now see what he does.
This is the conventional way in which people with money and power manipulate the parliament. The massive Aragalaya began to change this. The Aragalaya is not represented here. It is our duty to act according to that.
The group of 10 political parties affiliated to the government that later became independent also announced its stance following the vote.
In the future, the economic pressure on the people will rise. This is the time in which the enemy, that is the economic crisis, will grow stronger. This is also a period in which democratic freedoms will be suppressed. We will have to face this challenge.
අපි විරුද්ධ පක්ෂයේ ඉඳගෙන අපේ භූමිකාව රටට යහපත් විදිහට අපි ඉටු කරනවා.
ඔබතුමා දිගින් දිගට මෙතන ජනාධිපතිතුමාට ආරාධනා කළා සහාය පළ කරන්න කියලා ආණ්ඩුව සර්වපක්ෂ ආණ්ඩුව හදමු කියලා. ඒ යෝජනාව පදනම් කරගෙන ක්‍රියාමාර්ග.
නමුත් මෙතන හැදෙන්නේ මේ සර්වපාක්ෂික පාලනයක් නෙවෙයිනේ. මේ තව විදියක පොහොට්ටුවේ පාලනයක්.
ඒක ඔබතුමා නැසෙන දෙයක් වෙන්නේ
නෑ. ඒ විදිහේ පාලනයකට සහභාගී වෙලා අපි හිතන පරමාර්ථ රටට ඕන කරන අභිවෘද්ධිය ඉටු කරගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Although 134 members of parliament thought that he will get the country out of this crisis, the people of Sri Lanka do not think so. There will be more protests and strikes in the future. The country will go into darkness.
We hope to get more votes than this from the groups that promised to unite with us. There are many groups with us, but we only got a few votes. That is what we must look into.
This was the stance of the Tamil National Alliance.
මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ජනවරමක් අයිමි වෙලා තියෙනවා.
The parliament has lost the people's mandate, or else why would Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa step down? Why is President Gotabaya Rajapaksa running away from the country like this? Their party doesn't have the mandate either. They now have a fake majority. We don't know how long will this government run. Meanwhile, parliamentarian Sumandiran issuing a tweet suggested that Parliament should be dissolved. Quoting Anrukumara Disanayake in his tweet, parliamentarian Sumandiran says that the number of MPs who openly expressed their support for Dallas Alaha-Peruma exceeded 113. He added, quote, Parliament has again showed that it is in the clutches of the Podujana Peramuna that has lost its mandate, unquote.
Commenting on Ranil Wickremesinghe's appointment as President, the Indian High Commission in Sri Lanka has said it will continue to support the quest of the Sri Lankan people. In a tweet, it said, and I quote, as a close friend and neighbor of Sri Lanka and a fellow democracy, we will continue to be supportive of the quest of the people of Sri Lanka for stability and economic recovery through democratic means and values, established democratic institutions and constitutional framework, unquote. Meanwhile, Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has said that he is worried over the very serious crisis in Sri Lanka and there are very strong lessons of fiscal prudence, responsible governance and not having a culture of freebies to be learnt. He made these remarks during an all-party meeting that was held in India yesterday.
The main reason why we called this meeting, because this was a government's initiative. The meeting was called because we wanted all the leaders, all the parties, the country to appreciate that there is a very serious crisis in Sri Lanka. That the situation there is unprecedented in terms of the what we are seeing, the financial and social and political consequences of that. It is a very close neighbor, so naturally the level of concern as well as the worry that there would be spillover to India is there. And that, you know, there are in any neighboring country, if there is instability or that there is violence, it is something which is a deep concern to us. We have naturally political interest there as well, which highlighted which explained to all the leaders the political turbulence in Sri Lanka, the economic crisis which was there, the debt situation, the support that India has given, $3.8 billion assistance. No other country has given this level of support to Sri Lanka this year. And the initiatives that we are taking, how to help them and facilitate their engagement with other bodies including IMF and other debtors. $3.8 billion is a figure. You know, that figure has, fuel, it has food, it has medicines, it has daily essentials which Sri Lankan public needs. So that we have approached it in a very humanistic way as part of our neighborhood first policy, and that we are today they are still in a very delicate, very fragile situation. As their own discussions with IMF go forward, whatever support we can give them in terms of working with the relevant agencies and institutions, we will do. I ended this meeting on the note that the big lessons of Sri Lanka to be drawn are fiscal prudence and good governance.
S. Jaishankar also said that there have been some misinformed comparisons in the context of Sri Lanka, wherein some people have asked whether such a situation can happen in India. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Pralhad Joshi were among the senior members of the government at the briefing, which was also attended by P. Chidambaram and Manikam Tagore of the Congress, Nationalist Congress Party, Sharad Pawar and T.R. Balu and M.M. Abdullah of the DMK.
The Indian High Commission in Colombo said that it categorically denies baseless and purely speculative media reports about efforts at political level from India to influence political leaders in Sri Lanka regarding elections in the Sri Lankan Parliament to the post of President of Sri Lanka. The Indian High Commission tweeted, quote, "They are clearly a figment of someone's imagination," unquote. It reiterated that India does not interfere in internal affairs and democratic processes of another country.
IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva said that the IMF hopes to complete rescue talks with Sri Lanka, quote-unquote, as quickly as possible.
Speaking with Nikkei Asia in Tokyo, Georgieva said that the IMF was very deeply concerned about the well-being of the people in Sri Lanka. Georgieva said that IMF would work with any Sri Lankan administration as long as the next leader enjoys the support and has the longevity to lead the country. She stressed that it is very important for all countries that have had the burden to stare it in the face and not pretend that somehow the problem can go away, because it won't. She further said, quote, "What we would need for the program is financial assurances that will be sustainable, not immediately, but that we have a credible plan to get that point," unquote. The director of the IMF also said that the incoming government has a very important role to play, reaching out to both bilateral creditors and private sector creditors. Sri Lanka's large creditors include Japan, China and India. Georgieva said that she has discussed the situation with the countries during her Asia trip and was encouraged because there is an understanding that protected negotiations are simply not viable and there has to be decisive action as early as the weeks after a new government is in place.
Speaking to CNN, Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, expressed immediate measures which need to be taken to address Sri Lanka's economic crisis.
It is in fact the responsibility of the new government to secure some short-term green financing to be able to finance essential imports in next 3 to 5 months until we were able to get the bailout package from the IMF probably somewhere in December. So this is a challenging time. So from next month onwards, we are basically negotiating some of the bridging financing facilities from our friendly countries like India, China. So that we need new administration should start approaching those friendly countries or some of the sources to secure some short-term financing so that we will be able to supply essential items for the people to have their day-to-day operations smoothly.
The acting president suggested that negotiations with the International Monetary Fund are nearing a conclusion. Is that your understanding too, or is your belief that this still could take several weeks to negotiate?
In the IMF negotiations, what we are trying to reach what they call SAR-level agreements with the IMF SAR, which means the program, the overall macroeconomic program we have devised and planned has been presented to the International Monetary Fund at technical level. If there was a continuous stable administration, in my view, we could have reached agreement within this month. But if there's a delay in forming an administration, then obviously the IMF need a commitment from the new administration of the policies that we have presented to the IMF at technical level. So that process, the time that would take to complete or reach the SAR-level agreement will depend on new administration approach.
News First with the people. Main sponsor.
Earn a highest interest rate of 21% for 4 months fixed deposits. LB Yasaisuru.
While the secret ballot was taking place in Parliament to elect the succeeding executive president this morning, Gotagogama protesters engaged in a satyagraha opposite the president's office.
Soon after Ranil Wickremesinghe was elected as president, a protest was held opposite the president's office. Convening a media briefing at the tear gas cinema at Gotagogama, the protesters stressed that Ranil Wickremesinghe must resign.
Ranil Wickremesinghe was elected president based on the wants of a few, disregarding the people's mandate. It is against the mandate of the people. Sri Lanka needs a leader that is not corrupt. Therefore, we will continue this struggle. We can say with certainty that Ranil Wickremesinghe was elected today by pumping money. They are preparing to sell land, reduce our rights and privatize. After chasing out Gotabaya, chasing you is not a hard task.
උඹව පන්නන එක මහ ලොකු කජ්ජක් නෙවෙයි. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහට අපි කියනවා 132කට වැඩිය.
We will show Ranil Wickremesinghe that the power of millions is greater than the votes of 132. day after tomorrow. The people do not expect Ranil Wickremesinghe, who was rejected, to become president. The parliament does not represent the aspirations of the people. If the 134 parliamentarians, including Ranil Wickremesinghe, think they can put an end to the struggle by these numbers, that will never happen. Ranil Wickremesinghe does not even have the mandate to become a member of parliament. After voting, 132 have elected a ghost to the presidency. On behalf of the struggle and the people of the country, we would say, if the newly appointed ghost is trying to play games, we will not step back in our effort. This struggle will only end with a democratic rule. We do not accept Ranil Wickremesinghe as the president. The people brought him to defeat in the 2020 general election, leaving him without a single seat in parliament. After coming to parliament through the national list, Gotabaya Rajapaksa did not appoint Ranil Wickremesinghe as prime minister to solve the issues of the people.
After the press briefing, the protesters marched to the president's office once again.
Heavy police presence was witnessed this morning at the Gota Gogama protest site close to the SWRD Bandaranayake statue.
A large number of police officers were deployed to Galface in Colombo over concerns that a group was preparing to cause damage to the statue of SWRD Bandaranayake. We were taken by surprise this morning. There were police officers all over and they said there was an attempt to damage the Bandaranayake statue. They said a different group is trying to damage the statue and that they were here to prevent it. There was police protection around the statue. There was no such protection on the 9th of May when the protest site was attacked. Ranil Wickremesinghe may be starting the suppression act of the Rajapaksas. If he thinks this will work, it's a waste. There is no need to give such protection to a statue. There was an STF bus here and it was replaced by a police bus. According to our correspondent, police and special task force personnel were deployed to protect the statue until noon today. Colombo Fort Magistrate Tilina Gamage issued an order barring any faction from entering or gathering within a 50-meter radius of the Bandaranayake statue located at Galface, Colombo. Sri Lanka police told the court that there is a possible attempt being made to cause harm to the statue.
News First with the people.
More news follows after this short commercial break.
Earn the highest interest rate of 21% for 4 months fixed deposits. LB Yasisuru.
For the first time in Sri Lanka, EVA unveiled an antibacterial layer to minimize microbial growth and control odor, helping you stay fresher throughout the day. EVA, leading with confidence.
නිවෙස පුරා ගලන මේ සතුට සුරක්ෂිත කරන්නේ එස්ලෝන් ඉන්සයිට්. එස්ලෝන් ජීවයයි ජලය ජීවිතේ.
Biz Fast. Crude oil prices in the world market have fallen by 0.88%. Brent oil prices were at $103.38. In comparison, the price of a barrel in the US market was priced at $106.59.
Gammadda went into the most rural villages in the island today, extending a helping hand to those who are most in need.
The people of some of these villages had gotten used to skipping meals as they did not see any way out of poverty. But that is not the case anymore. Gammada is going door to door, village to village, extending help to those who are in need of it the most. Many residents of Hinguragoda received relief packs from Gammada today. Gammada was able to provide relief packs to many residents in Matara as well. While providing relief packs to residents of Badulla, Gammada came across a family living underneath the clock tower as well. But Gammada did not leave them empty-handed. The people of this nation told Gammada their woes during these troubled times, and the able gathered around Gammada as a beacon of strength, making help a reality. Gammada moves from strength to strength each day with the support of people who stepped up to assist their fellow Sri Lankans.
News First with the people.
මොකද මහත්තයා මේ
නෑ මේ ගෙදර සිංක් එකේ
අයි මහත්තයා ස්ලෝන් නෙමෙයිද දැම්මේ
හදිස්සියට බාලා පයිප්පයක් දැම්මේ නැද්ද මුදලාලි ඊයේ පෙරේදා කඩේ රිපෙයාර් කරන්න ගෙනාපු ගම් චුට්ටක්
මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න වලට හොඳම විසඳුම ස්ලෝන් ගම් චුට්ටක් හැබැයි ඉක්මනින් දාගන්න ස්ලෝන් පයිප්පයක්
ස්ලෝන් ගම් චුට්ටා හැම ගෙදරකම සිටිය යුතු ජනනල කාර්මිකයා දැන් රඟම ග්‍රොසරියෙන් මිලදී ගන්න.
Welcome back to the news. The second phase of the Divisavya program to distribute rye rations among families in need was held in the Ratnapura district for the 13th day today. The program is sponsored by LOLC Holdings.
The Divisavya program aims at supporting low-income families amidst the economic crisis. 2 teams distributed dry rations among people in several areas of the Ratnapura district.
Finally, in sports news, Pakistan opener Abdullah Shafiq starred with a sensational 160 not out as he guided Pakistan to a record victory over Sri Lanka in Galle today as the visitors took a 1-0 lead in the Test series.
Pakistan resumed day 5 on 223 for the loss of 3 wickets, requiring 120 runs to record the highest successful run chase at the Galle International Stadium, while Sri Lanka needed 7 wickets. The first half an hour of action was filled with a few close calls, beautiful bowling, and the hosts losing both of their remaining reviews. The previous highest successful 4th innings chase in Galle was 268 by Sri Lanka versus New Zealand in 2019. This was the first time a team completed a target of over 300 at the venue. Victory was on the cards for Pakistan, and Shafiq with his sensational 160 not out, his highest innings score in tests, made sure to bat through till the end to help his side seal a record chase.
And what they were doing was almost impossible. Abdullah for his unbeaten 160 in the second, along with Abdullah Sharif.
And that's a wrap of primetime news for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Jaimal Ratnayaka. Take care, stay safe, and good night.